Joining me now is House Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi. I'm so grateful you're here. I know you just returned from Munich, and it was a very busy trip, which I'm very excited to talk to you about. And I just wanted to start, Speaker Pelosi, with Alexei Navalny. I think we all have spent the last couple of days just thinking about him and the role he played. And I was very struck by the fact that it took Trump 3 days to finally make any comment about his death, even though many people did. But when he did, he compared Navalny's death to his own legal problems and didn't in any way condemn Vladimir Putin, which doesn't seem hard for most people to do. What did you think when you read that?
Well, first, let me wish everyone a happy President's Day. I have these cherries here in this pin reminding us that George Washington said, "I cannot tell a lie. I chop down the cherry tree." Now you're talking about a president, a former president, who cannot tell the truth. And Navalny assassination, as it was, is such a tragic thing. I was in Munich when the news came out. I heard his widow, Julia, speak to the gathered assemblage there to great reception. She could not at first face the fact that he might be dead and thought maybe Putin might be, as usual, lying. But the fact is then the next day they said, we have confirmed that he has been assassinated by Vladimir Putin, putting it right at his doorstep. So then his pal in the United States, Donald Trump, and you wonder, what does Putin have on Donald Trump that he always has to be beholden to him, his buddy in vileness. And I don't know if you're going to show the American people the statement that he made, but it's beneath the dignity of a human being. It is so horrible. You think, no, somebody must have made this up. Not even Donald Trump could go this far. As I've said, he's in a limbo competition with himself. How far can he go? Well, now he's gone below sea level, below ground level. And this statement should disqualify him from running for anything, much less president of the United States.
I think
to hear her comments. So sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think so many people agree with you, and I summarized it. We just showed it so people could see it, but because it was so far off, as you just said, from what should be stated. Yeah. I did want to ask you, I mean, you seem to have this really touching moment with her after she gave that speech you just referenced. It was caught on video. What did you convey to her?
Of course, I conveyed condolences and the hope that she was correct, that he had not died. But we all were suspicious because when she made her speech, she was enormously received, and she came down from the stage to thank me for some things. And of course, I extended my sadness for what had happened, but subscribing to her position at the time that that he might still be alive. But he was assassinated, and now they won't let the family have the body to bury or to examine or anything. This is vileness. To your first point here, Putin is probably the richest person in the world. Probably the richest person in the world. Forget all these ratings that people have. The richest person in the world. He's also the most, well, not the most evil, stiff competition for that honor, but nonetheless among the top 3 or 4 most evil people in the world. What does he have on Donald Trump that he has to constantly be catering to Putin? Telling Putin, go into these countries, NATO countries. NATO was there to stop Russia, to keep Russia out. They have been successful for nearly 75 years. We will celebrate that security success. And then we have, what's his name? I usually have him nameless, saying he doesn't support NATO and encouraging Russia to invade NATO countries.
He who shall not be named. I know Voldemort well, so there's another guy kind of like him. What do you think? We're all wondering this question, Speaker Pelosi. What do you think Putin has on him? I mean, it sure seems like something, as you've said a few times, given that he refuses to criticize him, that he seems to be a fanboy of him. Are you worried
at all? Well, during the Mueller...
Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, first of all, First of all, we must be sure that he does not step one foot into the White House, not as president or not as anything. He has brought disgrace to the White House, to these presidents. I talked about George Washington. It's also President's Week for Abraham Lincoln. When Abraham Lincoln died, it was embroidered in his coat that night at that theater, "One country, one destiny." And he gave his life to unify our country. And now we have someone who had the honor of serving in the White House, didn't consider it an honor, didn't consider his oath of office to protect and defend the Constitution. And on this week, speaking out the way he did about Navalny shows you that he is a person without values. He looks like he's going to be a person without dollars either, but the values are what concern us.
Yes, the dollars.
So
maybe
I don't know what he has on him, but I think it's probably financial. I think it's probably financial, either something financial he has on or something on the come.
Yeah, well, let me ask you about that.
As
you just referenced, I mean, he owes a tremendous $500 million because of these civil lawsuits that were argued against him, and he lost. Yeah. I asked John Bolton, who I'm certain you don't have a lot in common with, about whether he's concerned that a foreign leader, a dictator, an authoritarian country could have something, could be trying to target Trump. And he said they probably already are. Do you agree with that? Do you share that concern?
Well, I've always been concerned that the first trip he made as president of the United States out of the country was to Saudi Arabia. And you see now that his family is receiving investments in the billions from Saudi Arabia. But really, people care about what it means to them and their lives. And what also happened over the weekend is what happened in Alabama. Personhood in the Supreme Court, in vitro fertilization outlawed. I have a letter from my constituent who said, as a father, I would not be a father without in vitro fertilization. You have to fight this. You have to fight this. In Mississippi, we won 2 times when they tried a personhood. Mississippi. So make no mistake, don't be misled by his fraudulent, written up in the New York Times as a legitimate, what's happened to them, a legitimate proposal of a time limit on terminating a pregnancy. No ban on abortion. But also, let's talk about women just exercising their right or access to contraception or to in vitro fertilization. This is a very dangerous person when it comes to your family at your kitchen table. This is only one example of how dangerous he is.
It's so important, that Alabama case you raised. I mean, so many women are mothers because of IVF, and so many are hoping to be mothers. And he said he wants a 16-week ban because he likes a round number. So let's be horrified by that, too. Who better to talk to than someone who won one of those judgments against Trump? Sean Crowley is a trial lawyer at Kaplan, Hecker & Fink. She was one of the attorneys who represented E. Jean Carroll, and she joins me now. I'm so grateful that you could make the time this evening. Thank you so much for joining me. And I did want to start.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure talking with you. Now, I wanted to start. Donald Trump was given this deadline of 1 month to post his bond, which I know you are very familiar with, in his latest case that he can appeal. I think for many of us, we're waiting around and thinking, why hasn't he done it yet? Is it a delay? Is it not a delay? So should we read anything into the fact that he hasn't done that yet?
It's hard to say. I think after the first trial, it didn't take that long for him to put up all $5 million of the judgment. So I suspect that he may be scrambling around trying to figure out how to get the cash to put it up. But we don't really know. He has a few weeks left to do it, and we are waiting to see what happens.
Now, his deposition as part of the New York City civil fraud suit, that he said he had $400 million in cash, as I just outlined. That would, of course, not be enough to cover what he owes your client as well as the state of New York. So would it be lawful for others to pay the judgment on his behalf? What is possible? Because he's been doing that and paying his legal fees.
Yeah, it's complicated. It would be in some respects, as long as he discloses if he's raising money, as long as he's the one raising the money, and as long as he discloses what he is raising it for. He can't say that he's raising it for his presidential campaign and then use it to pay for a bond or for legal fees. But it would be lawful for him to raise it as long as people know what they're paying it for.
It's interesting because he's been doing that to pay for his legal fees, it seems. But what about a foreign entity? And I ask this because his son-in-law and others have really benefited from the Saudis. He, of course, has not been criticizing Vladimir Putin. I'm not asking you to necessarily speak to all of that, but could a foreign entity pay for his money he owes? Would it be within the bounds of the law?
Right. Yeah. And I will profess to not being an expert in this area, but I think that he could raise the money. He could, to secure a bond, he has to basically get a lender who has enough faith in his ability to pay it back, that they will give him the money to pay the bond. I suspect, again, that he could potentially get a foreign entity to pay that, but it all comes down to disclosures. It all comes down to being truthful about what the money is going to and who's paying it.
He doesn't always care about who is paying it. Well, this will be an interesting thing to watch. We will see. Okay, so now as part of the judgments over the past couple of weeks, there's this court-appointed monitor of the Trump Organization. Do you anticipate that is a person you will now be dealing with in terms of the payment of E. Jean Carroll's judgment? Is that who you're engaging with?
We have not done that yet. And, I think that we're still trying to figure out what to do if he doesn't pay the bond in the next couple weeks, what our options are. We are looking into that. And, we will take all appropriate steps that we need to ensure that this money is here and that it goes to E. Jean either, now, if we have to start enforcing, or after the appeal has played out.
So it is coming up in a couple of weeks, as you referenced. It's early March. What are your options if he doesn't pay the bond or if he doesn't pay the total of what he owes E. Jean Carroll? Those seem to be his options. What can you do if he doesn't?
We can start taking steps to actually enforce the judgment, which means going to the court and asking for an order for us to start attaching assets and making sure that we get the money to pay the full amount of the judgment.
As in, you decide he's not paying it, so we're going to take steps to liquidate some of his assets to pay what she's owed.
We would have to ask the court to do that, but that's what we're looking into, all the options to make sure. I mean, this money has to be paid. And if he's not able to secure a bond or pay the full amount to the court, then we will take steps to make sure that the judgment's enforced.
And he has real estate out there, as we all know. Over the weekend, he certainly does have a lot of it, although he's not responsible for the New York City skyline, I think we can say. Over the weekend, it seemed like Trump kind of came awfully, I'm not a lawyer, but he came awfully close to defaming your client again. So let's just listen to that, and I just want to talk about it on the other side.
We haven't done anything wrong. We've done nothing wrong. This last case is, we haven't done anything wrong. How about the one 2 weeks ago? A woman, I'm saying, who the hell is she? Who is the woman? It's so unfair what's happening in our country. Our court system is a mess.
So I'm just going to restate for everyone. Trump knows exactly who your client is. He was found liable for sexually abusing her and then defaming her by lying about it. Do you watch these, and could this warrant a third suit as you watch that?
We certainly watch them. It's hard not to. Every time Donald Trump speaks, I think, as we said at trial many times, he has the biggest megaphone in the world. And so everyone hears them, including us and including our client, E. Jean Carroll. And as you said, what he said was absolutely a lie. 2 unanimous federal juries have found that not only did Trump know who E. Jean was, he sexually assaulted her and lied about it repeatedly. Everything he's said about her over the last 5 years has been a lie and has been defamatory. So we're watching, we're listening. We had really hoped that, as I think the jury found, that $83 million would maybe be enough to convince him to keep E. Jean Carroll's name out of his mouth. Apparently, he showed us this weekend that he really cannot control himself, and that maybe it wasn't. But we'll see what happens as this continues to play up.
You're watching them. I'm sorry, you have to watch all of these just like the rest of us do. Sean Crowley, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Really enjoyed having you on our show.